Hello and welcome to day 131, right? Yep, look that right there on my calendar of 365 days of Facebook Live. My name is Jessica Lozano and I'm a women's relationship and feminine embodiment mentor. And here we are today on the series of Finding the One, part 4 of 5. This is where the good stuff starts to come, right? This is where now I'm feeling in my power. So where we left off is that I've made the decision that he's either coming with me or going, right? I'm already starting to step into more of my authenticity. I'm starting to use my voice more. I'm starting to make decisions for myself and not needing his validation. I'm not bending over backwards anymore. I'm wearing the things that I want to wear. I'm really starting to step into the embodiment of what I've always wanted, that just doing the spiritual work didn't really allow, right? Working on my embodiment, working on my self-leadership, working on my emotional intelligence, working on the worldly 3D things that I needed to do, right? So it was like my physical body, the physicalness, the dense reality was now catching up to this spiritual work, and now I'm in this embodiment. So I make that decision. Now I get my own condo, I buy my own condo, right? This was part of me moving forward. It was like a stamp in the world saying like, I'm moving forward. So I'm sure he felt that energy, and we had that conversation about moving in. I was like, well, I'm not, until we're engaged, we're not moving in together, right? I needed that commitment, twofold, because the relationship alone never had that solidity. And I thought that would make me feel solid. And also intuitively, like in my body, that's what I felt right to me, right? I wasn't going to make the same mistake that I did before and move in together when my whole body was telling me no. I was moving away from that version of myself and moving towards the version of myself that can listen to myself and back her up, not ignore her, not betray her, not abandon her. So he proposes, I say yes, and I'm like, oh my God, wow, my life is really turning around. Like, look at this. Like, I finally have what I wanted, right? He's my biggest prize. My ticket that I wanted was him, right? This was what I wrote down on that letter, and I'm thinking, wow, all this work is finally going to be paying off, right? So about a month later, he moves in, and if you can guess, we start arguing again. Not volatile, right? Like earlier that year in January when I moved in with him briefly, as I was finding these condos, we didn't have that volatile type of fighting. It was more arguments, passionate arguments, right? Two Latins coming together is going to be passion, right? So it was passionate, but it wasn't volatile. We didn't have those highs and lows. And I'm, starting to get over it. Now we move in. I'm like, fuck, man, I thought we were over this phase, right? So one of the things that I decided, even before he moved in, was, okay, he proposed, we're going to get married. I need to make sure that he's it, right? If he's the one, because we're engaged, I need to make sure that he is it. So more than ever, I'm going to embody my authentic self no matter what the cost is, no matter if he leaves me, right? This is my inner child's core wound, which is abandonment, right? The wounded inner child in me, her biggest fear is that she is going to be left. This is why, one of the many reasons why I would bend over backwards for him, why I wouldn't stand in my power, because he would always threaten me with leaving or some kind of insinuendo that he was going to leave. And therefore I was like, no, like, okay, fine, you win. Okay, fine, you win. Okay, fine, you win was always my go-to. Now I'm moving away from that, right? We're not having these extreme fights where he's doing things like that anymore, I guess, or as bad. And I'm like, okay, I'm really going to be in my authentic self. Like, I'm really going to embody her. I'm going to do more than ever, validate myself for what I want, who I am, in all ways, all the ways, from the way that I dress, from the way that I speak, from the decisions I make in my business, from the decisions I make with my health, everything. Like, more so than ever. That was my commitment to myself. So as time is going along, as he moves in, we're starting to have these fights again, and I'm making decisions for myself. He's not happy with it, and he then reacts to my decisions that I'm making and does things that are spiteful and hurtful, and I start to question myself, right? In a way of curiosity, right? I'm become the observer. I'm looking up out here, and I'm looking down at the relationship. And I ask myself, now this may sound very elementary, however, this is now, I'm making this decision to really be in my sovereign embodiment, which means, how do I truly feel about this? As a woman, as me, how do I truly feel about what just conspired between us? Between this argument, between this thing that we just did together, between this thing we didn't do together. Like, really look at it from an observer, objective point of view, right? I'm using now my discernment and my intuition combined to make sovereign observations about this. Questions that I asked myself. Is he right and you're wrong? Are you right and he's wrong? Are we going to agree to disagree? Right? Which of these three possibilities is it? If he's right and I'm wrong and I overreacted or I did something that wasn't, in alignment, I'm going to take radical responsibility of my actions, and I'm going to say, sorry, I'm going to do something and change the perspective of this. If I'm right and he's wrong in my perception, I'm going to have my own back and I'm going to stand in my truth. If it's an agree to disagree where he believes something, I believe something, and we're just not really seeing eye to eye to this, two truths can be present at the same time, and I'm just going to let it be. We're going to agree to disagree on this. This is where I was, right? This is where I'm really strengthening my spine, no longer being like a hunched back woman, no longer just walking on eggshells, no longer betraying myself, no longer allowing myself to be gaslit, no longer allowing myself to be manipulated, no longer myself to be controlled, right? Because that was the basis of our relationship, right? One of the things that we had said early in the relationship was that, because he was older, he's like, my wisdom, I'll trade you my wisdom for your beauty, for your, your greatest years, basically. That was like the agreement that we had. So for a long time, I had this belief, right? And also what I wrote down on my list, and, was he smarter than me? He's witty. He can take control. Like, he's, is able to just have good responses, right? This is what the whole foundation of our relationship was. So I had to take the foundation and start stripping it off, right? Like building a new house, knocking the house down on the ground, and I'm going to tear out the foundation and see if I like what I see, was what was happening. I'm going to see what's happening here as I'm standing in my authenticity, and I'm going to see if he matches to me. No longer is it about, do I match to him? I'm moving forward, remember? And either he's coming with me or not. So I need to see, can he hold me? Can he hold who I am as a woman? Can he hold me? This was the big question mark throughout this entire time. Throughout this entire time that stuff is happening and stuff is going down. Can he hold me? So time is going by, I'm asking these questions, right? I'm really undoing everything. I'm really getting so radically honest with myself with what it is that I am observing, right? I am going back, I'm going down to the roots, down to the pillars. I'm getting so radically honest with myself. Is he it? Can he hold me? Does he align with who I am as a woman and who I'm fully stepping into? This woman that I've always wanted to be, that I wasn't actually really able to hold, I'm holding her now. Can he? So a pivotal moment was a time that he again was over and on the other side of the planet in Asia. And I'm going to, my girlfriend messages me, she's 8 months pregnant, and she's like, and she knows I got engaged too, when she lives in Miami, and she's like, hey, I would love to have dinner with you. Are you available? I'm like, oh yeah, he's out of town right now. Let's go. So I drive obviously to Miami. I'm not going to have my 8-month pregnant girlfriend drive up to freaking Boca. So I drive down to Miami. And I'm really happy to see her, really excited. And he knows I'm going there. I see her, and she sees my ring. I see her belly, all the things. And I get a message from him. I'm heading home, and he starts going off because I didn't message him when I got there, and then when we got to the restaurant, and then all of these things. So we start to kind of have this argument through text. And then he says something along the lines of, well, this is not what I want in a woman who's going to go out to Miami while I'm out of town, and saying all of these things. I'm like, hold up. I was like, first of all, I'm with an 8-month pregnant woman. What kind of trouble do you think we're getting into? I have my engagement ring. It's 10 o'clock and I'm heading home. First of all. Second of all, and I'm shaking by the time I'm saying this to him. Now, when I look at this, I'm like, wow, I would not be scared to say this ever right now in my life, because it's obvious. But at the time, this was really challenging. That belief that I had, it's really challenging, that authenticity piece, and really challenging that, is he going to match up to me, and really challenging that core abandonment wound that I'm facing. This is it right here. He just threatened me. The cycle is, oh yeah, you're right, I'm sorry. Or we'll just keep fighting, and I'll just be agree to disagree. But I'm no longer available for that, and I'm no longer available for threats. So I'm like, fuck, man, here it comes. Here's the biggest scary thing that I've had to do. This is one of my most powerful initiations, which is, hands are trembling. Okay, I'm in my car. He's in freaking Asia. And I'm like, I'm no longer scared of you. You can do all your threats that you want. I am no longer, capital letters, scared of you. Go find what you want, and then something along that lines. If I'm not what you want, then you go find it somewhere else. My hands are trembling. I'm terrified because I'm terrified, but I'm ready to face it. This man could probably leave me right now. Right? This is really challenging my inner child, who has had this strong, fear of being left. But now I'm really holding her. I'm saying, okay, I know you're scared right now. I know you're really scared, but I'm going to hold you. I'm going to walk your hand through this, but we're no longer tolerating this behavior, and we're going to tell him the truth, and we'll see what happens. So he didn't leave me. So we're still together, whatever. Time's going by. Again, there's things that are happening that is just I'm standing in my truth. I'm standing in my power. I'm being my most authentic self. I am not holding back. I am engaged. If he is it, this is it, right? Can he hold me? That was my motto this whole time. Can he hold me? Can he hold me? Let me observe everything, right? Let me break things down little by little, because I've been so programmed and so conditioned to believe that he was smarter than me, right? From my own doing, because that's what I believed. That's what I wrote in my freaking, thing. So time's going by, And there's some moments where he does help. My brother comes back into my life. He's in the hospital, and I had to take care of my brother, and then he really does take over. And then after all of that's complete, then he says something that it was just like very selfish, and I was just like, my God, all right, okay, how do I feel about this? Or the thinking process. So time's going by. Also at this time, I'm really not feeling pulled with work anymore. Like with the training, I'm feeling exhausted. I'm feeling drained with it. I'm just not like feeling it. All right. So New Year's time comes around, and he wants to take us to me and the kids to see the snow. I was like, okay, yeah, let's go. Let's go. So we take a family trip for New Year's to go see the snow. And at this time, I'm really getting everything together and gathering all this evidence. And by this time, things are really starting to pan out in my life. Like I have this condo that I really love. I have this car that I really love. My body's coming back. Like I did a 5K and I was able to run and I feel good. Now, now we're engaged, right? Like things are kind of like panning out, right? I'm being more my authentic self, right? Like I'm standing here, like I'm doing good. And I was like, let me, on the way back, on the plane, I was like, let me create like a vision board. Let me start planning things. So I have my computer, brought my computer, my laptop, and I open it and I start looking at images. Like I really want to, pick the images of what I really want. And I picked a image of a woman working out and lifting weights because that's what I really wanted. I'm like, okay, I really want that. I can't remember what other things I picked. And then I'm like, okay, love. So I'm scanning, I can't remember what I put in Google to give me the images, but the images that came up was a silhouette of a couple, the sunset silhouette, and it was a husband and a wife, and I think they had their hands like in a heart, and one of them they had their hands in a heart. One of them was holding a baby, and the other one was holding a baby. There was two babies in the picture, like toddler babies, and that image like came at me like clairvoyantly. I looked at it, I saw it, I'm like, oh my God, this image, right? This image is really popping out at me. And then I felt it in my body. I'm like, that is what I want. So at this time, internally, as I'm gathering all this evidence of what's happening in my life, I come to a place of peace. I say to myself, because again, I don't ever say these things out loud. And I was just like, okay, God, if he is not the one, I'm okay with that. Like, I'm ready to let him go. I'm really ready to let him go. And if he is, great, then we'll keep going. But if he is not, like, I am ready. So I really released the relationship. And I take the image, I save it, I put it in like a Google folder, like this is what I want. So we come back, and things are kind of going pretty well after the vacation. The kids are no longer really coming over to the house. That was also a source of my questioning. I'm like, I don't know if I really want to be a step parent to these kids, right? That's one of the things that I questioned. That was one of the big question marks that I had, because, like I didn't like how they treated me, and I can understand, like they were dragged through the whole thing with us. And I wasn't the best step parent. They definitely got the worst parenting skills from me ever. So I can understand the resentment and why they would act the way they were acting and things like that. But still, I had a right to ask myself this question, like, do I want them as stepchildren, So, and I was teetering to no, right? I'm teetering like, this is not what I really want. So when we come back from this trip, from this New Year's trip, I noticed that they're not really coming around. They're really not coming around. I'm like, you know what? Maybe this is it. Like, we're not fighting. Things are really good. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. So he's out of town again, back to the other side of the planet. And I'm coming home with my girlfriend, and then I see the kids coming into the house. I was like, that's weird. Like, they didn't tell me anything. They didn't message me. Their mother didn't message me. Like, this is weird. So I was like, I was more like, this is disrespectful. Because at the time I still had a very forward, intense energy. I was like, this is not like cool. I was like, but you know what? I'm going to tell them like, you can come over whenever you want. Just, you got to let me know. Like, this is your house. You just got to let me know. So something I forgot to mention. When he moved in, there was a really important piece of this is that when he moved into my place, it was like we equaled the power, because our relationship was always like a power struggle dynamic. But now that he was in my like territory, even though he paid some like half the money that I had put in, because I really want him to make it feel more comfortable for him, that it felt like it was his house as well. It still allowed me to really be in that like position of power. Like, I'm the woman of the house. I'm gonna run the house how I want to run it, and I'm gonna see again, is he matching up to me? Is he allowing me? Right? So that's why I had the worst disciplinary times, but that's okay. Like, everyone who was involved in this signed for the contract for this. Okay. In our before we came down to earth. So the kids are not there. Come back. Now I see them walking in. I was like, that's odd. I was like, that's a little disrespectful as well. So I probably said hi very awkwardly, or very kind of like standoffish a little bit, right? Because at the time I didn't have the finesse that I have now, right? I was, still working on that softness, but definitely had softened so much. And me and the kids always had some kind of tension at this point, because of all the stuff that went on. So I say to them, I was like, hey, you guys can come when you want. You just gotta let me know, just gotta let me know. And I asked them questions. They wouldn't really answer me. They were being really disrespectful. I was like, okay. So eventually my friend leaves, and then about an hour, I start making myself something to eat or like a snack, and eventually they leave. And then one of them, before he leaves, he said something to me extremely disrespectful, like mean, like nasty. And I was just like, I switched, I flipped, and my whole body, I was drunk in anger. I hadn't felt like that in the longest time, right? I had been working on myself, that I haven't felt that level of intense drunkenness with your own anger. I'm out of anger. I message the mother and I say something to her. She messages him. He messages me. He said, the one thing I asked you to do was to not do anything. Don't get into, like, basically reprimanding me like a child. I flip. I start crying. I call my friend. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I cannot do this anymore. She's like, well, maybe you guys need to go to therapy with the kids. I'm like, I'm done with therapy. I'm done. I'm not going to do family therapy with him. I am done with this. Like, my whole body claircognizantly knew, you're done. Like, you are done. So in true fashion, he beats me to the punch and he says, we're done. We're over. Something along the lines to that. Through text message. And like, you know what? You're right. We're done. So we break up. Now, because I know now to not shove my feelings into the ground, I intentionally make time for mourning. I message my mentor the next day. It's like, this is what happened. Like, we're done. I go to see, so I set up sessions with her to see her bi-weekly so that I can stay focused. I can stay really grounded and stay strong. Then, I was seeing this energy worker lady, and like literally the next day, I go to see her, something very shortly afterwards. I remember going in there so dramatically, but I was like crying because I'm more like, because of all the drama, because of all the pain and all the crap that was always involved in this relationship. But I knew, like, I was done. Like, in my heart, I was done. So I'm telling her, and she looks at me, she's like, I know you're crying. She's like, but I feel like you're done. I'm like, yes, like, I'm done. Like, I'm over this. Like, I am so over this. So she's like, okay, cool. Like, she does some energy work on me, whatever. So the first week, I really cry. I'm mourning the death of this relationship. So I give myself space to cry. I had one moment of weakness where I was like, can we just see each other one more time? Thankfully, him being the person that he is, sometimes, he probably wanted to punish me. He's like, no, it'd be too painful. I could not do that, which maybe is true. Maybe he just wanted to punish me because he saw that I was, sad, and he wants to put me in my place. Either way, it worked for my benefit, which whatever reason it worked for my benefit, because, you never need to go back to your ex, and you never need closure from them. This is one of the biggest lessons that I learned from this breakup, because after that breakup in text, I never saw him again. All the house was furnished with him. So he sets a date to pick up all his things, to get the things moving while I was at work, which was great. And I come home come back to my condo. I give him back the money that he put in. We close the accounts that we've had together. And I get a mattress, one mattress, because I'm like, I need something to sleep on. Like, that's the only thing that I need, really, because everything was his. The couch was his, the bed was his, the frame was his, everything that was in the kids' room was theirs. The only thing that I had, I think, was a beanbag chair, like a pink beanbag chair, like huge one. I wasn't gonna be able to like sleep on that. Like, I need a mattress. So it is one of the things that I got a mattress, really nice one. I was like, I'm gonna make sure I give myself a nice mattress. I ordered it to be delivered that same day. TV was his, everything was his. I think even like the plates and like everything. So I come to the house. There was a guy helping out. Everything's gone. The movers are gone. He gives me the keys, like his assistant or the worker, whatever. I'm like, okay, bye. Close the door, and I look at my home, and I'm like, this feels really weird. This feels extremely weird. My whole life, all of my 20s, like I'm 29 at this time, was surrounded by him. Like, literally every decision that I made, he was always in the equation to it. Now he's gone. And I was like, this feels weird. And I remember being like, again, in this like twilight zone, this really weird space. I was like, what do I do? I was like, Jessica, go take a shower. So I was like, okay. I go into my bathroom, take a shower, and that shower grounds me. That shower like purified me, because I came out and I was like, okay, this is your new life. Now the only person you need to think about is you. It's like, okay, moving along my day. This is about maybe, I think this was like, we broke up in January, like in January 17th, somewhere along the lines there. This is when we had that final breakup. And now this is like February, like mid-February. So I was like, okay, we're gonna move on. So part of this too, one of the things that I did, I'm not sure if this was after he got all his things or before, but I took everything out that was that he gave me, that was his, and anything that remotely reminded me of him, and I put it all in the living room. I put it all, I think it was after, because he still did have the keys to come in and to do things, like to get things. So after he had left and took everything that was his, which basically was everything, I brought everything out of the living room and put it all there so I could see it, so I could really be in the feelings and the emotions of this. Remember, this is my goal, was to fully be able to allow myself to feel it all. So I bring everything out. I'm looking at everything, feeling it until one day it's like, I feel complete. So I take this stuff, I give it to my mentor, and she burns it. So that's done. And I'm quite surprised how I'm not crying that much, right? I created so much space in my life, like so much, did not fill up my schedule with anything. I'm like, I'm going to move through this. I am determined, and not much tears. I even dropped down my schedule a lot because I did tell, okay, so part of what happened during this time too is that once I felt that freedom of what it felt like for him to be out of my life, I'm like, holy shit, like he's out of my life. I feel free, which happened very, very in the very beginning of this. I noticed the same energies that my ex-fiance now brought to me is the same way that I feel in my corporate job. So in my corporate job, I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to be here either. I don't want to give them my energy. Everything that I do here, I've created this success on my own. I'm going to go and live and start my own business. I'm going to be a trainer. I'm going to figure this out. Right? That's what I did. So I told them that I had broken up an engagement, so I'm not going to be producing as much. So it was partly true, but I just didn't want to produce for them anymore. I was exhausted. I just didn't like the grind and the hustle that I was giving them. And I planned to leave May 1st would be my first day as like my own businesswoman. So I'm doing all the planning, right? So things, I'm starting to feel really good, right? He's finally gone. I have my own mattress. That's all the thing I needed. Then I go furniture shopping. I get this white couch that I love so much that I take my mom to so many different places to finally buy it. Like I took her to like five different furniture stores twice to make sure that this is the one that I wanted, right? Because at this time, I'm really learning how to build my own like trust in what my desires are, right? Because all of my desires have always been somewhat revolved around him, right? And I never I'm at this place where it's like I'm believing in myself, right? Believing in my own trust. I never had to really decorate a house before. So that was fun though. Anyway, so we get all the things and time's going on. I'm feeling really good. I'm really enjoying my house. I finally show it to publicly onto Facebook. So I have, Facebook, I block everybody. So I blocked every single person. I really wanted to make this leakless as possible of that. And I didn't want anyone to look at my stuff. So I block everyone that was in his family or friends with him and things like that. That just only felt right. So I did that. Anyways, going along, and I'm like, you know what? I'm really I feel good. Like I'm really going to focus on my career. Like that's what I really want, right? I decided I was going to leave corporate, start my own business. Like this is what I'm going to be focusing on, right? I have a condo and, I feel really free. I feel really good. I feel really happy. Like I feel so free. Like I was on a high of life. I am happy. I am ecstatic. I don't know how my boss at corporate didn't realize that did she really go through a breakup? She seems pretty happy, right? But I'm just happy. So I'm living my life and my dad starts coming to my house a lot, right? He starts coming to my condo a lot. I think he's kind of worried, right? My dad thinks that I'm gonna break down or I'm gonna have I'm gonna break down, have a breakdown because of this. And I'm just like, no, Dad, I'm good. He's coming over. He gives me a TV. He's like, you need to have a TV. I'm like, I'm fine. I don't need a TV. He's like, no, you need to have a TV. So he puts a TV in my house. He's bringing over my little sister. It's fun and whatever. So eventually he starts asking me, he's like, oh, so are you dating? Are you this? Are you that? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, Dad. I'm like, I'm not jaded. I was like, I'm just, if a guy comes, he comes, but I'm really focused on my work, It's just not really what my area of focus is right now. So then he says, well, I have someone for you. And that's where I'm going to leave it here. That's where I'm going to leave it here and then share the rest, the final series, part 5 of Finding the One. So what the take home for this section right here is, my authenticity, my unwavering, authentic desire to be. My unwavering desire was to be fully authentic and to see if he matched to me. I was at this place now. I'm embodying this frequency of this woman who is saying she's the one. I am the one. And I'm going to see if you match to me. Right? Because I'm the one. And the one is going to match up to me. No longer was it about me bending over backwards for him, seeing if I matched up with him. And this is what a lot of women do. Do I match with him? Bending over backwards for him. It's like, no. Does he match to you? Effortlessly. Right? So this is where I was like, okay, is he gonna match up? This is a moment of truth. We are in it now. I'm fully committing to me. That ring was actually a symbolism of me committing to me. Buying that house was a symbolism of me committing to me. Buying the condo. So, how authentic are you when you go on dates? How authentic are you in your relationship? How are you living your life? Are you living your truth? Or are you living in the shadow of someone? Or are you living in fear? Are some of your core wounds, are you scared to face them? Or are you having the courage to face them and tell your little girl, it's okay, baby girl, I know you're really scared right now, but we're gonna walk through this together. I got you. This is what this whole phase was about for me. Even more, it was like I'm digging my feet into the ground and I ain't moving. This is who I am. And it took me a long time to really figure out that this is who I was. But when I finally did, I was ready to leave that relationship and I never looked back. I had one moment of weakness, but I never looked back. I cried for 1 week. And what I realized about that was that I had cried so much in that relationship that there was no more tears to cry left. There was no more pain and suffering anymore. And when I really look back, that time that I had with my girlfriend at the pool, when I said to her, I'm so over this, that is the moment that my heart went like, no more for him. No more for him. There was other signs that happened. I started to fantasize about my mind would literally go to other men, right? Just to date. So innocent. It was like just dating. That was a sign that my heart was already out. I just had initiations to go through. I had initiations to really be in my authenticity no matter what. To really break down and break apart the programming of gaslighting and manipulation and control and really be in my own sovereign divinity. It's very hard to manipulate me now because I had a master teacher on manipulation. It's very hard. I can see past so much truth because of what I went through. So I left that relationship with a lot of gratitude, and I left that relationship with a lot of compassion for him because I know he's in a lot of pain. Where he is now, I'm not sure. I know he would make a great husband if he can get out of his own way. But I didn't leave with anger towards him or resentment towards him because I took a lot of responsibility for myself and knew that I was deciding to stay in that relationship this entire time. That was part of my leadership. That was part of my emotional intelligence. That was part of my initiation into being a woman, is taking radical responsibility and not pointing the finger and saying it's his fault. It's like, no, it's your fault if you're staying there. I'm staying there. I take full responsibility about this. I take responsibility of where I was not showing up to my full integrity, to my full alignment, to the woman that I know that I'm capable of being, growing into. taking all of that energy back to me, all of that power back to me, radical responsibility, like radical ownership of my actions, even when I fucked up, is what made me the woman that I am now. And taking radical ownership of my actions without allowing somebody else to put me down. Like, no, I take ownership, but you're not going to then put other things on me that are not mine. I take what is mine and I give back what is not. These were the powerful lessons that I had to walk through. These were the initiations that put me on the frequency of the one, because I became the one. So that's for today's module, or not module, but today's series. Tomorrow, you get to see how I met Ron. So, and how the unfolding of that went. So I'm excited to share that with you tomorrow. And have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Mwah. Bye.